Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to introduce a new series where I collaborate with another YouTuber to create a game in Roblox Studio. The project is going to inspire from Sea of Thieves. We decided to do Sea of Thieves in Roblox Studio because I thought it'd be a challenge in terms of programming and also modeling as well. My side of the tutorials will be about Roblox Studio coding, whereas Sam's videos are going to be more about the modeling, the 3D design, and the materials of the game. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our new Sea of Thieves game. Now in episode 1, the plan is to build up the ocean and the ocean mechanics, including the waves, how the ocean looks. We're also going to set up buoyancy so that boats can float in the ocean. We're going to create our own physics to do that. Furthermore, in this first episode, we're going to combine some of Sam's materials together to create a starter island. It's going to be very basic for now, but in the next episodes, they will improve and the islands will get more detail as we add more variants of assets and different types of assets in the future. We'll also be modeling a quick boat to show you what the game will kind of look like and how the buoyancy works in Roblox Studio. And finally, we'll combine everything together to create a starter scene that you can see on your screen at the moment. So if you want to follow along with this devlog series, obviously subscribe so you can keep up with every episode in the series. Make sure you check out Sam's channel as well. It's linked in the description. You can see it on the screen if you're interested in the modeling and the 3D design that happens in today's video. Obviously, leave a like if you like what you see and give suggestions on what you'd want to see in the game. Now, some of you could say, oh, it's a bad copy, but let's remind you, it is Roblox Studio. There are limits, but we'll be doing our best to make something pretty similar, and that is the project, the challenge, basically. Now, the first thing we're going to focus on in this devlog is the ocean, because in Sea of Thieves, the main theme of the game is ocean and ocean exploration, and we need to make sure that the ocean is a big part of this game, so we need to put the most time and effort into that. Now, as someone has no experience with making oceans, especially in Roblox Studio, I start off very confused, not really knowing what to do. Now, obviously, Roblox Studio is very limited. You can't edit vertices, you can't manipulate materials based on the vertice, you can't do anything like that. So creating an ocean that looks decent and fits the Sea of Thieves theme is going to be quite difficult. So the first thing I tried was thinking, okay, what if we use parts? What if we combined parts together and produce a final board that we could use as the ocean and the waves go over the parts? And understandably, that was a mistake. This was the first attempt that I had, and as you can see, it is literally just a sine wave on a bunch of parts. I mean, all of these are individual parts. As you can see in the right-hand side, there's about 9,000 parts here, something like that. And as you can see, performance-wise, it's absolutely awful. And obviously, this is literally a 20 by 20 stud grid. If we were going to have a giant ocean, this would destroy my PC. And imagine if you were playing on mobile, I mean, you're finished. You're done. You might as well just put it in the bin. So in other words, we need a different solution. It's even breaking here. I mean, what's it doing? You can't have this as an ocean. I mean, this is not an ocean, is it? So attempt 1 was a fail. Now, I knew that we needed a way to manipulate vertices on a mesh. And in Roblox Studio, you can't do this through individual vertices in code. But I found a way to make them move. Now, of course, all sources that I've used in the research of making this project will be in the description, so you can try and make something yourself. So I got working in Blender and I created our ocean. And yes, our ocean is just a flat plane. Once I returned to Roblox Studio, I imported the mesh plane and also gave it a color. So it's massive, which is what we want, and a nice light blue is fitting for an ocean. Now, I know it looks trash right now, but just wait to the end. Hopefully it'll look a little bit better than this. Okay, it's time for attempt 2 of the ocean mechanics. Okay, so this code looks absolutely horrible right now, but don't worry because we're going to fix it up at the end. I've done like the complete opposite of following my advanced scripting tutorials. Also, vectors suck. So what I did was I started off with a simple sine wave. It looks kind of like a wave. This is a lot better and it's running a lot better than it did with the awful parts attempt 1 that was a complete failure. Now, one of the most popular techniques for creating waves in the game development community is actually to not use sine waves, but Gerstner waves. Gerstner waves are slightly different to sine waves, so I'm going to implement them instead. Kind of hard to see, but I've combined 2 Gerstner waves into this mesh, and it's giving me a lot more freedom in what I can do with these waves. I've got this cube here that kind of shows you the wave motion, and as you can see, the wave is actually bouncing up and down, but there is 2 directional waves going on here. Now, the next thing I wanted to focus on was the appearance of the ocean. Now, this appearance to me looks absolutely horrible. I hate it, so we're going to change it. Okay, so I've added some stuff to make the water look a little bit nicer. If we run it now, you'll be able to see that the water definitely has been improved. So, as you can see, this is our final product. The water has a bit of foam. It has some shadows. It's not just plain anymore. If I zoom out here, you can see the pattern that the water creates through the waves. But we're going to zoom in here because we're going to be quite low down. This is what we're going to be seeing as the player on a ship. You can see the waves in the background. It looks quite good. The problem is with Roblox's shader is that it doesn't really show the shadows as well as I'd want them to be shown. And it's really hard to add the details that Sea of Thieves has. So this is what the user will see when they ride out into the ocean. Obviously, there'll be islands popping up around. But now we've got our stylized ocean. I want to now create a boat and create the wind effects for the sails. So in Blender, I got to modeling a ship. Don't judge the topology or anything. We don't talk about this. We've fully modeled a ship inside of Blender in about 5 minutes. I'm going to export this ship into Roblox Studio and we're going to program the sails to have a wind effect. Now, this ship isn't meant to be operatable. There's no wheel. There's no details on the ship. It's just there so I can program in the sails. So that's exactly what I did. I imported the ship, gave it some color. Now, the importing of the ship didn't exactly go to plan, and neither did the mechanics with the wind. However, I think I've got to a final result that I'm happy about for now. Now, you've got to bear in mind that this ship is a test model and it's not actually one of the final ships. So there are some collision errors here as well, but we don't need to worry about those at the moment. So this here is the final result of the wind model and the wind mechanic that will be making the sail have this nice wind effect. Now, what I want to do is make it so when the wind changes direction, the sails will also kind of move towards that direction, but that is for a future update. For now, we're happy with just a little wobble. So the final thing I wanted to work on in this first episode of the devlog is creating a new ship that doesn't look like this awful trash one, and also working on the buoyancy system in the water. So the first thing I did was work on the buoyancy system, and this was horrible. I'm pretty sure I tried making the buoyancy system like 4 times. So this was the first buoyancy system I used. I used floater points on the edge of a boat, and it would create like a nice rotation effect. However, it really lagged, and I don't know why it lagged this hard, but for some reason it did lag like this. So I had to scrap that, and I tried attempt number 2. Now, attempt number 2 was using the middle of the ship, its center of mass, to make it float, and the second time actually turned out surprisingly well. This was the result of the buoyancy that I made. And now that we've got our buoyancy system set up, I wanted to make it so we had a better ship to show off for our first episode, because this is just disgraceful, man, really. This is just horrific. So I got into Blender and I started producing what I thought was a decently made starter ship that we could use to make episode 1. Now, this isn't going to be the final ship because Sam is going to be doing the ships and the texturing for the ships. So this was the final result of the ship in Blender, and we're going to put it into Roblox Studio. And this is the ship in Roblox Studio on the water, and as you can see, the buoyancy works fine. We did have a few troubles along the way. The ship sank, it started flying, it was doing weird stuff, but that is all part of the process. But we did get to some nice results. Now, at this point in the project, me and Sam combined both of our things together, and I put the ocean and he had an island and some palm trees, and we combined all of the assets together to create this one starter scene for the first episode of our devlog. Now, bear in mind, Sam has his own devlog. It'll be on his channel where he makes all of the island and the materials. Now, the final thing I did want to do as well is make the palm trees have a nice wind effect. I wanted to make sure that they blew in the wind and it wasn't just a stale island with no movement. I know that the grass moves anyway, but it's nice to have some movement in the leaves as well. Just brings more life to the trees. And after playing with some lighting, this is our final result for our first little star island on our Sea of Thieves remake. As you can see by the cinematic shots, it actually doesn't look too bad for a start. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more foliage. There's going to be a lot more man-made buildings, NPCs you can react with and stuff like that. But all of that is for the future of the devlog series. So if you have enjoyed this first episode of our devlog series, please obviously do leave a like down below. If you want to keep track of this, then obviously subscribe to make sure you keep track of the devlog. I think the result of this is actually quite nice as well. I'm really happy with the water, and I'm happy with the buoyancy script and how that works as well. In the next episode of our devlog series, we're going to be improving the Star Island, and we're going to be getting some functionality on the ships. And hopefully Sam will have some other ships done that we can use. But yeah, this is our Sea of Thieves devlog, the start of the series. If you have any suggestions of what we can put in the game that you'd want to see, then let me know as well, because we can take viewer suggestions. So put that in your comments. But I hope to see you in episode 2 of our devlog series on the Sea of Thieves remake in Roblox Studio. Thank you for watching.